Hello my friends, welcome to the very first video that we have here on my YouTube channel. Today's video is about 50 facts about me. If you don't even know my name is Madison. I own Roman & Riley, and that is I guess you could say my third business. Now that I finally have that kind of up and going and I have more help with employees, I finally feel like I can take the time to dive into something else I've always wanted to do, which is basically vlogging, more of the influencer route, and doing videos and sharing more of my DIYs and all of the things that really help the foundation of my second business, Mom with a Paintbrush. So we'll just dive right in because I could talk all day. So we will start with the 50 facts that I've written out about me. So number one actually touches more on the fact that I would feel really bad. So I opened up my store in this July of 2022. And when I got the doors open, I got an employee like pretty much right away, and I would feel so bad to just be at home like living life with somebody working the store. I don't know why, totally my own personal problems. I think it's because I'm so used to trying to do it all and realizing that I don't need to do it all. And so now that I'm finally coming in tune with reality and the fact that I can't do it all and it's okay to take a break from the business, that's kind of what's led me here, and I'm finally unapologetically getting back to the things that I used to love to do when I was like on a smaller scale of business things when I was Mama with a Paintbrush, which was my second business. And so that's the first fact. I would feel bad, which is why I died out on the personal side of things when I opened up the store. It's not because I wasn't at home like, oh, I want to jump on and show people this. It was more like, wow, people that are literally following me that haven't been following me from the very start are following me for the business side of things. And I do think that affected my business. And while my business isn't all about money, it's like now I have rent and stuff to pay having the store, and I felt like I needed to separate the two. And so this is my attempt at separating the two and still doing the things that I want to do on the personal side of my life things. So number two, I have lived in Washington my entire life. Number three, I've lived in Spanaway, Parkland, Graham, Puyallup, DuPont, and now Olympia, and that is all in order of the places that I've lived. Number four, I got married when I was 20. My husband and I, we didn't have a wedding. I don't really care to have a wedding. It would be cool to like renew our vows at like 5 or 10 years and do a small wedding, but I really don't care to have a wedding. I don't want to spend the money on it. I really don't. I'd rather spend the money on like doing a vacation or something like that together. So that's that. I was also pregnant when we got married. I did get pregnant before getting married. Very untraditional way to do it, I guess. But those things didn't matter to me as much. So, and we got married on Black Friday. So what a deal he got. That's what I always say. I always make that joke. Number five, when I was 18, I competed in bodybuilding. I competed doing bikini. So basically with bikini, it's smaller petite girls. Usually people think of bodybuilding like you have to be like super buff. That's not really the case. It's a bit more complex than that. So when I was 18, with the division of like older women and everything, I placed third place. And then for the younger division, it was only 2 of us and I got first. So technically I just beat the other girl. But I'm proud of that because I only trained for that for less than a year. So that's pretty good. Number 6, I am low-key, kind of low-key not obsessed with Disney. I have a Mickey tattoo on my wrist, and we go to Disney at least a couple times a year. My husband's from California, so we usually always try to make time to go down there for at least one day while we are down there. 7, I am a military brat. I always said I wouldn't marry into the Army, yet I did totally marry into the Army. My husband's not in the Army anymore. He actually got out. It's probably been, oh my gosh, it's longer than a few months now, I bet. But he got out this year, and yeah, living the military brat life, even though I didn't really live the true military brat life. I didn't want to marry into the Army because my dad was always gone growing up. So like I didn't want that for my kids or for me as like a wife. But it doesn't always work out that way. So number 8, out of country, I've been to South Korea and Canada. South Korea, we went there for a couple weeks because my dad was stationed there. And then for Canada, we just went there pretty much for vacation. Number 9, I don't like seafood. Number 10, I studied early childhood development and interior design. So I was actually 1 year away from getting my bachelor's in early childhood education up until the point of stuff changing with the VA that I was using to pay for my schooling. Long story short, I would have had to start over my bachelor's, and that's kind of when I pulled the trigger on being done with school. And then interior design, my business stuff, I allowed it to take over, so I never finished my certificate for that. Number 11, I have my cosmetology license. Number 12, my entire life I said I wanted 3 boys, but 3 miscarriages later and then getting pregnant with Riley being a girl, I was like, yeah, never mind, 1 boy, 1 girl, we're done, and I just did not want to be pregnant again after those miscarriages. So, yeah. Number 13, I technically started my first business when I was 18, so my high school senior year, I would do 3 periods at high school, and then I would leave high school to cosmetology school pretty much until like around 6 p.m. and then I'd be at cosmetology school on Saturdays because you have to get 1,800 hours in for your cosmetology license. And so when I graduated high school, I finished out my hours and then I took the test, and that's how I pretty much got my cosmetology license so fast. And then with that being said, when I was looking to rent a chair, find a salon to work at, my dad mentioned to get a trailer, gut it, and turn it into a little salon. And since I live on property, I was able to keep it there. And so that's what I did. And so that was my first business. I had like a little retail area for like shampoo and conditioner and products to sell. And then I had my little shampoo bowl in there with a big mirror and everything, and it worked out really good. If I can find pictures, I'll leave a picture up on the video screen. Number 14, my husband and I want to move bad, which people think I'm crazy because they're like, you just opened up the store, what do you mean you want to move? And I'm like, well, the lease for my store is 3 years, and I can either just close it and go back to online, or I can like find somebody maybe to run it or something along those lines, because I do have family here, so I would still be coming back. But we look really hard in either Arizona or Texas, which I know everybody's moving there, but we were 15. Like I said already, I own a baby and children's boutique. I actually never had any intention of opening a storefront. If you ask around, I actually used to say a lot that I never would, and I'm totally fine being online, which I was. But I really, really wanted a place to do basically like a mom's group, but like I can't really do that, or maybe I can, I don't know. Never thinking too hard into ideas. But I really wanted a place to do like mom's night outs, which I do about once a month, and just a place to host them at. But I was like, okay, I don't want to do that at my house. So that was a big push in opening the storefront, to have a place to do something like that. 16 in high school, my average GPA was always around a 2.0. I really actually suck at school. Even in college, my GPA was really low around that. I suck at school. 17, I have 3 dogs. Duke is my Chiweenie. I got him when I was 17. And then we actually got our second dog from Craigslist. I really wanted another dog, and this dog, it was just from some family that wanted to get rid of him. It was actually kind of sad. I'm pretty sure we like saved him because I'm pretty sure he was abused, and he acts super like, well, he still kind of is, not as bad now, but he's super skittish. I just know he had to have been abused. And then our third dog, I was actually fostering when I was really pregnant with Riley. So it was like, I had Riley in December, so it was November, we were fostering him, and he was really protective right off the bat of like my belly and everything. and we wanted a dog like that was more for like protection. And so he did that for us, and so we ended up keeping him. We actually gave him back to a different foster family, and I came home and cried. And an hour later, the lady called and was like, "Can you guys take him back for another day or two?" And so my husband went back and got them from the people, and he was just like kind of like shaking his head laughing, because I was just like bawling my eyes out like mad because I wanted to keep him. And now we have him. And we adopted him. Number 18. This house that we're in right now is our second house that we've owned. The first house that we bought was actually in DuPont. We did sell it to get this house instead, so we're not renting it or anything. But this is the second house that we have owned. And 19. If I could do it all, and maybe one day I can find a way to manage it all, I would love to work alongside my husband. He does real estate now. I would love to start a business for interior design for home staging. Definitely would like to do that. 20, before my baby boutique Roman Riley, my business was called Mom with a Paintbrush. 21, again, I put too much on my plate. I actually had a different business called Modern Romance Design. It was wedding sign rentals, which was actually really smart. I have a glow forge, which is a laser cutter, and I wish that I never sold those signs, because to be honest, I would still rent those if I could now. I just got overwhelmed in this phase, and I was like, okay, something has to give, and then that was it. But I really wish I never sold them, because they were really cute, really nice, and really different than what anybody would find at like Hobby Lobby or what you see when people make now. So I do regret selling those. 22, my very first job was at Victoria's Secret. Do not like that job, and yeah, I don't like that job. 1 out of 10 is the rating for that job. I actually had really weird hours too, which I didn't expect going into it. I would literally be working there at the mall from like midnight to 6 a.m. because they have you working at the night to like switch the floors around and to like fix the panty tables and that sort of thing. I rate that job a 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10. 23. The beginning of next year will be the first year that I truly start profiting from my business, where my family and I can actually count on the business to pay bills. So I guess that's like a con of having a business that a lot of people don't see. You dish out a lot of money before you start making money. I know that's not always the case for all businesses. Like, I feel like candles is a really good one, where it still costs less, I say. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong if somebody has a candle business, but like the things that I had to buy and supply for the things I was doing with Mom with a Paintbrush was way more expensive than I think like with candles. And your profit margin is a lot higher as well. But yeah, I don't care. I'll talk about it all day. Next year is the first time that I'm truly profiting in a way that we can depend on some of my income for bills. 24. Okay, so this gets into it a little more. So when I started Mom with a Paintbrush, that was when Roman was around 3 months old, and we lived in DuPont. My husband is apparently the best husband ever. We basically used the entire savings that we had for me to buy the glow forge, the laser cutter, and the Glowforge Pro at the time, I don't know what it goes for now, but at the time it was like $6,000, which yes, that's all we had in savings. But yeah, now looking back to it, I think that was probably not the smartest thing to do, but I had a lot of faith in everything that I wanted to do. I was able to convince him, and obviously like now it's all fine, but this is years later. I just have a very supportive husband, I guess. But that's how I ended up getting the Glowforge Pro. 25. I love to thrift. I would say about like 60 to 70% of my closet is from the thrift shop. I hate buying full price, especially when like I change my mind a lot and I like to like have variety and that sort of thing. So usually what I do is like thrift my clothes when I'm over it, or maybe it doesn't like fit the right way or whatever. I'll just redonate it and then go in and buy something different. 26. Clearly, from Mom with Paintbrush, I love doing DIYs. That's a given. it's just really, really hard with the dogs and kids to do them as much now. So that's why like I spend a lot of time doing other things like creating content and stuff that's like on a computer, and it can't get as messed up as like me painting my fireplace over here where Riley's gonna come in and get into the paint and whatnot. I did it when Roman was a baby, but I would block him off so it was a lot easier. And I also had just either Duke or Duke and Otis, so it was just a lot easier to block off the dogs and stuff. Now there's 5 against 1, so it's like I can't do that as much anymore. 28, I love snow and rain, yet I want to live in a place where it's sunshine for the lifestyle we want to live. We want to be able to go out and like do things. Like right now with the weather, at least like in Texas and Arizona, it's still decent to go out to the park and that sort of thing. Roman loves to be outside and so does Riley, like what kid doesn't? And so those are the things that we really want for the kids growing up, and you can't really get that here with the weather. Like yeah, you can still go outside, but it's really cold and wet and they might get sick. So 29, when I was a kid, I guess the strange pets that I had was a guinea pig, a hamster, water frogs, and little rainbow fish. And actually growing up, one of my water frogs got out of the tank. I don't know how. I never left it open. I would leave it closed. I don't know how it got out. And one day I found it dried up behind my parents' toilet. So that was cool. It was literally dried up behind the toilet. Like we tried searching for that frog for like weeks. And one day I found it behind my parents' toilet. 30, I'm a chocolate person over vanilla. 31, I have one brother, but growing up my parents started fostering kids when I was in junior high. So I was always around that. They always made sure to foster kids that were younger than us. We didn't have babies or anything. Like all of the kids could talk. So yeah. 32, my dream job as a kid was to be a hairdresser at Jean Juarez. 33, some of my favorite entrepreneurs are Kevin O'Leary and Mike, I'm gonna bash, or whatever, what's the word? I don't know how to say it. Michael Wicks? I don't know. He has a book called Profit First, and I'll just put his name up here because I'm gonna butcher it. That's what I was looking for. 34, my favorite motivational speaker is Eric Thomas. 35, in junior high, I did show choir. It was called Main Event, so like dancing and singing. It was a small group. There was probably like 8 to 10 of us. You had to like try out and get accepted, and it was like something I'd have to go for after school to practice a lot more. And yeah, I was all about it. I was like a little choir geek. And I also did solo ensembles, which are like single singing competitions, I guess. I don't know how else to explain it. And I took singing lessons. Like I was like hardcore choir in junior high. 36, my first car was a 2-door sport Ford Explorer. It was black. 37, I'm not allergic to anything. 38, my favorite Christmas movies are Santa Claus 1, 2, and 3. I have to say I don't even have a favorite. They're all like equal to me. I love them all. 39, I got my first debit card when I was in 5th grade. If you're military, then you know what the PX is. I actually got my first debit card at the PX. They used to have a USAA bank inside of the PX, and that's where I was able to go with my parents to go and get it. 40, I was just talking about the guy for my favorite entrepreneur, Mike, whatever his last name is. I don't know how to say it. I use the Profit First method with my business, which I'll do a video on that about later for what that is. 41. Growing up, I had a Saint Bernard named Libby, and then we had a rescue named Molly. She was a little brown dog. She was my favorite dog. Literally, when my dad was deployed, she would like go and get in my bed and like ready for bed. Like she slept with me every night. And then Libby, our Saint Bernard, I absolutely loved. Now I'm like a total crazy Saint Bernard lady because it just brings me back to that. 42. I didn't take a business loan out or anything for my business when I opened up the brick and mortar. I actually, up until the point of opening the store, I was still doing a lot of pop-up markets, so I would take that money and save it all for the store. And then I took out one credit card. Well, not took out, but applied and opened up one more credit card to have extra funds for opening up the business and like ordering more inventory and the displays and yada yada yada, everything that you need. Because when you open up a credit card, I haven't seen a credit card that doesn't offer it. I really haven't. But for the first year, they give you 0% APR, so you're not paying interest on those purchases. So basically, I have a plan in place to pay off that credit card before interest kicks in. So that's what I'm doing. 43. If you are a local, then maybe you have heard of the Oli night markets. I actually run those with my friend Jason. He's more hands-on and does it way more full-time now. But we were starting those and establishing it right around the time I was opening up the business, and that's when I was like helping a lot more. Now I'm kind of just like a sidekick, and I help a lot with like, I guess, my opinion on things and advice and suggestions on stuff. I mean, it's always best to have somebody aside with you to doing something big like that. And so that is something else that I do. So every Oli night market, basically, Roman and Riley has a booth there because I run those with him. So that is nice. 44. Having the store makes me so much more enjoy being at home because I feel like I can actually separate the two now. So people are like, oh, how's it going? Like when I'm talking to like another friend that has a business, I'm like so much better because when I'm home, I can be home. And when I'm at the shop, I'm at the shop. And so I can give my 100% when I'm here and my 100% when I'm there. Before, it's almost like I would get an order, like say I got an online order that came through. It was super hard for me to do that when I had my stuff here, to not try and justify going out to the garage and packing that order, like when I'm in the middle of just sitting and relaxing. I don't know why, but it's like, oh, I'm just gonna do it now to get it out of the way, but it's like, there's just not work hours. It's harder to find balance. Even though I don't think balance is achievable, it was way harder for me to just like have discipline on work and personal life balance. Where am I? Okay, 45, here we are. When I was younger, like 10 to 12, I did gymnastics. And then in high school, I did soccer and track. In track, I did the 200, 400, the 4x4, the 4x2, long jump and high jump. Soccer, I sucked at soccer. Soccer is what led me to track. My coach was like, you're fast, but you suck with the ball. Try track. And so I did track and I loved it. And I'm 46. It sounds really cliche, and I'm totally not the type of girl to be like, oh, I knew when I met my husband that I wanted to be with him, but I did when I met Baggio. So my husband's name is Baggio. So if you see it, it's Baggio. I did not know how to pronounce his name when I met him. That was actually the first question that I asked him. I was like, how do I pronounce your name? 47. All of my business knowledge, I've pretty much learned as I've gone. A lot of trial, a lot of error, a lot of money wasted down the drain to get to where I'm at now. And I'm sure there's things that I'm doing now that's a waste of money that I just don't realize yet. I think that's just the way of the game, though. You constantly learn and grow as you go. You just have to start and do it and stick to it and just get better over time. 48. After I had Roman, I actually went back to work a few weeks after having him. Not necessarily because I had to, like, for money, but because, like, I'm so used to go and doing a lot at once, having my plate full. And so I went back to work. But I kid you not, like, I had to pump in the office. I would have to pump in the car. And it wasn't the best location. So, like, I really hated it. And, like, literally I was there for a couple weeks and I ended up quitting to just be a stay-at-home mom because I was like, this is not it. I do not like this. 49. I'm 25. My birthday is August 28th. And then 50. 9 times out of 10, I feel perfectly happy and content with where I'm at. Believe it or not, I spend a lot of freaking time with my kids. On days that I'm not at the shop, I really truly designate that time with them. And then when my husband's home, if there's stuff that I still have to do, because yeah, just because I'm not at the shop doesn't mean there's not work to do, but I will wait until my husband's home, and we pretty much have to alternate on days of when I'm at the shop and not at the shop for him to get his work done. So as far as balance goes, I don't think that's something that's necessarily achievable, like I said. It's just something that balance to me is, I guess, being okay with, like, and happy with where you're at, and just recognizing that just because there's gonna be harder and busier times, that's okay too, that's a part of it. But really, truly take advantage of those times when you don't have as much on your plate to do, to take that time with your family, and for me to take that time with my kids when I can do that. Because, like, right now, obviously, it's my first holiday at the shop, and so I have put a lot of time into that. But when I'm home, and if something doesn't get done out of the shop, I just let that be okay and let that be what it is, because obviously with my kids, it's time that I won't get back. So I just put into perspective, like, okay, if I don't send out this email for the chance to get an online sale or whatever, is my business gonna be okay? Because, like, no, it's not all about money, but like I said, now with having the store, I have to, like, pay that monthly rent and whatnot, and now I have, like, an employee to pay and whatnot. I still have to make money, but I still have to recognize that I have kids with time that I'm not gonna get back. So all I'm saying is to truly maximize your work time when it's work time, and then truly maximize that time with your kids when it's kids time. To not guilt trip yourself when times are busier with work, and to not guilt trip yourself when you're spending time with your kids with time you're never ever gonna get back, for the fact of, like, sending out an email. And so I guess that's what works best for me. That's what I figured out works best for me and, like, for us as a family. And that is basically it. I feel like I just talked for like an hour, so if you're still watching this, then wow, thank you. Like and subscribe, and I will be back next time with the toddler gift guide just in time before Christmas. And until next time,